Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
That's like a line. Thank you very much for providing me this opportunity to speak in front of you. I am Parmeshwor Baral. I'm from Lions Club International District 325 B1 Nepal. And by profession, I'm a teacher. I'm a university teacher, and I've been teaching for the last 10 years to the students of bachelor and master level. Can anybody tell me how many minutes are there in an hour?
60.
Exactly. And in a day? 1140. Now today we are going to talk about the importance of time, because time is quite precious thing in our life. And I'm going to give you some examples of time management. The value of a year is known to a student who failed in his final examination.
Exactly.
In the same way, the value of a month can be known to a mother who delivered a premature baby. In the same way, the value of an hour is explicitly known to a lover who has been desperately waiting for his beloved to meet. In the same way, the value of a minute is known to a person who just missed his bus. In the same way, the value of a second is vividly known to a person who just averted an accident and he has been saved from the accident. These are some of the examples that we have been practicing, and these all sayings are taken from Mark Levy's saying. Now today, I'm not going to do something innovative new. This is what we have been doing in our personal, in our professional, in our linguistic life. That is, we are going to talk about time management. As we are all aware that we are quite busy in our personal, professional, and your linguistic life. And we have to equally balance these three lives simultaneously. If we become able to manage these three lives effectively, in an effective way, then we can be called as a good leader, good father, good parent, as well as a good employee in the place where you work, or the CEO where you have been running a business. And guys, I'm going to ask you a question. Have you ever encountered a situation in which the time is not enough for me to manage all the activities that I need to perform in a particular day?
It always happens.
Can you give me a particular example, Mr. Manus?
Just now when I was coming over here, I missed my flight.
Oh my God, you missed the flight. Now look, he missed his flight. And what could be the reason for him for missing the flight?
May not be his problem.
Prioritizing. It was not just my fault. A lot of things happened. The counter people, they didn't know how to give two boarding passes together when I had to change a flight.
Right.
Then by the time I went to the security, it was a huge rush.
Yeah.
And they were not allowing me to get out of the line.
Right.
And ultimately, though I reached before 20 minutes of the flight,
Exactly.
still
Yes,
closed.
he has written the same thing on WhatsApp as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was wondering who was it. And any other? Do you have any such kind of problems that the time is not enough for us to do all the activities in a particular day?
It
No.
happens a number of times.
Oh, can you particularly cite an example?
It's on a routine basis. You know what I do? I'm write down all whatever I need to do that particular day.
Right.
Even if required, I'll schedule them time wise.
Exactly.
But in spite of that, somehow I'll be missing some of.
Exactly. The same situation happens not only to you, it happens to us. And the primary reason behind this is we are unable to manage our time effectively. We are not able to manage the time that is available to us. Because in a day, it doesn't matter whether it is Prime Minister or a layman, everybody has got 24 hours a day. And we need to manage that time. And today, the primary focus of today's discussion will be on the same, that is time management. And managing the time, tasks, projects, and all those kind of things, as a line leader is the responsibility. And if we become able to manage time effectively, reach where we have to reach, and finish the task within the scheduled time, then we'll be called a good leader, right? We'll be called a good leader. In the other hand, if we become able to manage time on that way, we'll be called a reliable person, right? We'll be called a reliable person. in this, on the other hand, if we become unable to manage time in the same way, that you make the commitment, but you become unable to reach there, right? You make the appointment, you have made the appointment, but you become unable to reach there in the time. Then later on, people think that you are.
We lose our credibility.
Yeah, that is unreliable person. You'll be called unreliable person, and not only that, it gives you stress, fatigue, because you need to rush from one place to another place. Fatigue will be there. You'll be, and the next point will be that you won't be able to provide the time with your family, friends, and your circle, right? Because you need to rush to wrap up the activities that you missed, so that your family, there will be complaint by your family members, from your friend circle, and something like that. Not only that, the projects, the task that you are about to accomplish, they go delayed. Okay, they will be procrastinated, so that you won't be able to get the funds in the scheduled time. And the other thing is that, as we talked, you'll be called an unreliable person, in the sense that you have been invited and you have made the commitment that I'll be there by this time, but you became unable to reach there. So people will be calling you an unreliable person. So these are the importance of time management, because as we have just mentioned, time is precious. Okay, it cannot be postponed. Some works, some schedules, some appointments, some commitments that we have made. Okay, they need to be wrapped up in the scheduled time. And now I'm going to talk about the objectives. Manojji, can you please read the first objective that is given on the slide?
Describe importance.
Yeah. The first objective of today's session will be that by the end of this lesson, by the end of this training, you will be able to describe the importance of time management. Why is it necessary to manage time? Sudhakar, can you please read the second one?
Recognize the common obstacles.
Yeah. By the end of this lesson, I'll try my best for enabling you to be able to recognize the common obstacles for the effective time management. Right?
It is identify strategies.
Okay. By the end of this class, we'll be able to identify those strategies that you can implement to manage time effectively in our personal, professional, and linguistic life. Now, by this, I would like to request you to have a look on the page number 1 and 2 of your participant manual, and there is a case study. The case study is about the club president Maria. Okay, there is the case study about the club president Maria, and it goes like this. Please have a look on that. I'm going to read the first one, and then after I'll consecutively asking you to read 3 by 1 later. At the time management case study, the case study below follows a day in the life of Maria, the club president. She is a Lights Club president, and she gets off early in the 6:30 in the morning. Like Maria's alarm goes off. Having been particularly busy the last few weeks, she is exhausted and decides that she could use a few more minutes of sleep. Okay, she sleeps, please.
7:30 a.m. An hour later, Maria wakes up in panic. A few extra minutes of sleep have turned into an entire hour, and now she will be late for work. On the commute to her office, Maria realizes she has forgotten the agenda and the related materials she prepared for this evening's Lions Club meeting, and will have to return home before the meeting.
Maria arrives late to work at 8:45, flustered and stressed. During the next few hours, she attempts to make progress on an important work assignment, but is constantly interrupted by client phone calls and co-workers stopping by her office to catch up on the latest office gossip.
At noon, Maria suddenly remembers that she has a meeting at 1:15 p.m. where her department team and manager, she spends her lunch hour trying to prepare for the meeting, but isn't sure what she should be preparing for because she can't find the meeting agenda that was distributed last week.
1:15 to 2:3 p.m. Maria attends a department meeting. During the meeting, her manager appoints Maria to be the project manager on a new, exciting assignment. Maria accepts the task even though it will mean additional responsibility to her already heavy workload.
At 2:35 p.m., when Maria returns to her office after the meeting, she opens an email from her co-worker James. In the email, James asks Maria if she could be the contact person for one of his clients while he is out of town on vacation. She responds that she is able to do it and thinks, I don't know, really have time for this, but I guess James needs my help.
Thank you. Manoj.
2:45 to 4:30 p.m. Maria spends the afternoon trying to finish up the last minute work assignment, but spends at least 30 minutes looking for a stack of completed client forms. She is unable to finish the assignment before leaving work for the day and will have to complete it first thing in the morning.
4:45 to 6:15 p.m. Maria leaves work to go to her daughter's soccer game, which she promised she would arrange. After the game, she drops her daughter off at home and retrieves the material she needs to conduct her Lions Club meeting.
Between 7 and 8:30 p.m. during the club meeting, where discussion takes place about the need of a new service project that will help support the local library, which has been struggling financially for the last several months. The members want to organize a book drive and fundraiser involving the local businesses. Unfortunately, no one volunteers to serve as the committee chair for the project, so Maria volunteers herself.
Manoj.
9 to 10:30 p.m. When Maria arrives home after the meeting, she spends the next hour and a half trying to catch up on her personal email. She also knows she needs to get started on a presentation that she is giving at the district convention in 2 weeks, but decides to put that off until another time. Finally, Maria goes to bed around 10:30 p.m.
Thank you very much. Do you think that Maria manages the time in a throughout the schedule in an effective way?
She is overloading herself.
She is
Not at all.
trying to overload herself.
And have you ever encountered similar type of situation in your personal and professional life?
Yes, I usually oftenly end up in this
Can
situation.
Can you give an example?
Yes. No, because I am a chartered accountant.
Mhm.
I have got professional responsibilities as well as I have taken up positions at Lions Clubs, and sometimes it's very difficult, and we have particular periods when the last minute efforts have to be made, when the return filing dates, last dates and all that, we are totally professionally bogged up, and then it happens that at the same particular time we get some linistic important duties and we have to struggle with our time.
Fabulous, very fabulous. Now, with this example of Lion Maria, we are going to talk about some of the obstacles that we encounter in the process of having the effective time management. Do you know why? Because it is quite difficult for us to manage, as we have been talking about our personal, professional and linistic life. And sometimes in the case of Maria, she already had been overloaded by the works that she needs to perform. Okay, because of the exhaustion, she wanted to sleep for some 5-10 minutes, but unfortunately she sleeps more than 1 hour, and which ultimately paralyzes her throughout the day session. And not only that, she has to rush to her office so that she forgets to bring the agenda that she has prepared, that she is going to present during the club meeting that is taking place in the evening. Now with this, we are going to talk about some of the problems, some of the obstacles, some of the hindrances that we may encounter in our day-to-day time management. Now please have a look on your participant manual, page number 3. There are some of the obstacles for effective time management are given. Now, with this, what we are going to do is that these are the common obstacles, and if you have got something more, or if you have encountered, you read something more than these are given, we can talk about them. The first one is, can you please read?
Unclear objectives and priorities.
Unclear objectives and priorities. For example, in the case of Maria, what was the unclear objective or the priorities? Can anybody?
She has no specific priorities in her life. That is what we see in the problem.
Thank you very much,
Based on the
Mr.
time, she's just accepting everything.
Everything.
Yeah, she has been accepting each and everything.
Yes.
Manus, do you have anything to say?
Personal disorganization, she is not organized.
She is
She is
totally
totally
messed up with
disorganized.
these stops
She
that
misses
from
agendas.
dusk to dawn she needs to carry her.
Hmm.
Right? And the more specifically speaking, in place of making the preparation for her upcoming district conventions preparation, she has focused her attention on checking her personal emails. Personal emails would have been checked during her, let's say, next day's lunch time. Is it or not? But in place of doing that, she has become unable to prioritize what is to be done in the beginning, what is to be done in the next.
And she is also not in a position to say no.
Yes, we are coming to that point. And the next one is, can you please read?
Lack of planning.
Personal
Personal
disorganized. Do you know how this has occurred to Maria, the club president? Because she was overworked. She has been working very heavily. So that what she thought is that I need to work, I need to sleep some for 10, 20 minutes. But as there was no alarm, she slept 1 more hour, which ultimately paralyzed her entire system. And because of that, she forgot to bring the agenda that she prepared in the previous night. The agenda of the Lions Club's meeting that is going to place on that evening. So that the second one was personal disorganization. Can we talk about the third one?
Lack of planning.
Can you give an example from the case that we have just talked?
No, she doesn't have any plan.
Her
for the
is
day.
not a plan.
Yes, she has a plan, but
She
as per
somehow
example,
try to manage whatever comes in
Mhm.
between
yeah,
and pushes things and then try to move on to the next
awesome.
item.
Yes, very good. Actually, in place of preparing the meeting, right? Because she has got the meeting in her office, something about at the daytime. Okay, she didn't make any preparation about the meeting, and she started having all those kind of gossips, right? She started attempting the phone calls, all those kind of things. And the next one, right?
Distractions and interruptions.
What could be according to you in the case of blind Marias? What could be the distracting factors for her?
Gossips.
Like gossips, very good. What could be next?
Telephone calls.
Yes.
emails.
Telephone calls. For example, if we were, let's say, if we were doing in an important project work, we would have minimized the distracting factors. What I mean to say here, distracting factors is like in the case of Lion Maria, she has been frequently interrupted by her co-workers for the latest office gossips. In one hand. On the other hand, she is being interrupted by the frequent phone calls from her clients. So that she was unable to concentrate on the important project that she was carrying. Am I right?
Right.
And let's go to the fourth one.
Inability to say no.
Inability to say no. So, whom she was unable to say no.
Her colleagues.
Yeah.
She was already overburdened.
Yeah.
And then her colleague passed on
Actually,
some
she's right,
burden to her.
Exactly.
And she accepted.
Yeah.
And your
She
responsibility.
might have thought that if I do not accept his proposal of handling one of James' client, then she thought that James will be hurt. That's why she readily accepted, even if she was overburdened by the works that she had been
But
doing.
then, if she is not able to attend to that work properly,
Mhm.
James will be definitely hurt permanently,
Oh, really?
rather than temporarily. She could have guided James to go to someone else.
So Sudhakar, what do you say on this matter?
She felt that James required her help.
Yeah, this is what it has been clearly mentioned in the schedule, in the diary of that if I do not accept his proposal of handling one of his clients, then he will be hurt. That's why even if she was overburdened or let's say overloaded with the works that she has been carrying on, she easily accepted that one.
Next one.
Procrastination and indecisiveness.
Okay. Procrastination means delaying.
Delaying the-
Yeah, delay.
Postponement.
What did she delay?
From the
Her
very
important
beginning, no?
assignment.
Just a minute. Yes,
Her
sir.
important assignment she took up for the district convention.
Yeah. She has an important presentation to make because the district convention is going to be held within the period of a fortnight, 15 days, right? But she discarded that fact. In place of paying attention about the presentation that she needs to make during the upcoming district convention, she started checking her
Mails.
personal emails, which she would have done, she could have done in the consecutive days. Right, sir?
Personal commitments, family. and
Family
friends.
and friends.
Yeah, personal
Commitments.
What did she commit? Can you cite?
She went with her daughter.
Yeah,
Football.
she promised her daughter that she would come to watch the soccer match of her daughter. And after the office, she went to her daughter's soccer match. She watched the soccer match. Only then after she went to face the agenda that she left in her home. So that this is one of the things that she messed up.
No, she should have attended once she has promised to her family.
Obviously.
Family is first responsibility.
Yeah.
The only thing is she could have curtailed down some other issues and saved that time.
Yeah. And
Professional
another-
obligations.
Yeah, personal obligations. Professional obligations. Professional obligations. Now the thing is that even if she was doing quite a lot of work from dusk to dawn, and even in the office from 8 o'clock to 4 o'clock, she has been preoccupied with the works, bunches of work. She has stack of work about her client. After that, there was a meeting, right? There was a meeting with her manager and co-workers, and the manager assigned her the responsibility of project manager, which was new and quite exciting. Without any hesitation, Lion Maria accepted that. Right? Because beside that, she had got so many works to be performed. Did you know that? She has got so many works to be performed, and even so, she accepted the proposal because it was new, exciting. Ultimately, that might be ailing her to have the promotion in her office. We can guess.
Being involved in too many commitments at the same time.
Okay, being involved in too many commitments at the same time.
Yes.
What are these?
Everything, no.
Yeah,
Life
right from
for
stress and
work,
fatigue.
everything, what?
Leads to fatigue.
Yep, that was, let's say she is the project chairperson, right? Because her club was planning to have a fundraise for the library book motive. And during the meeting, none of the club members of her club became ready to accept the position of
Fundraiser.
fundraising chairperson. Ultimately, she has to accept that proposal. Because if it would have been accepted by somebody else, some other members from her club, she would not have that burden, right? Because as a project chairperson, how difficult it is. We have been quite experienced on those kind of things.
She should learn to delegate.
Yeah, see, we will come into that point. And stress and fatigue. The last one is stress and fatigue. If somebody does too many things in a day, right? If somebody is quite disorganized, let me give you an example from my own. Okay, later on we'll be happy. I was GLT coordinator in my district last year, right? And there were something about 85 zone chairperson in our district. And I don't know whether you have been practicing this phenomena in your district or not. During the zone meeting that takes place September, once the first zone meeting takes place in September, and the second takes place during the month of November, and the third one takes place during the month of February. Right? Am I right? In our district, all the zone chairperson want GLT, GMT, GST coordinator to be present during their zone meeting, or district governors advisory committee meeting. Can you imagine a GLT coordinator being present in 4 zone meetings at the same time, even within the same city?
It's not possible.
But I did.
Very good.
Yeah, I did. But I prioritized the zone chairperson we have got. The zone chairperson who can motivate his own, let's say his clubs and the club members. Okay, then what I used to do is that, okay, you can do it yourself. Okay, please forgive me. I will not be. Let me come back to you. Please forgive me. I will not be able to come to your joint meeting. Please ask some of the PDGs or let's say RCs. Even we have got the tradition of having the evaluation chief, right? Who is responsible for having all the evaluations to be done. And my concentration used to be those zone chairpersons who are below average. We even cannot describe, we even cannot explain the agendas that have been formulated for a particular zone meeting. Right? For a particular zone meeting, those zone chairpersons who are unable to explain, to motivate the club members.
And now we have got these GLT teams, GMT teams, so you can delegate that.
That is the thing that is the thing I'm talking about. And GLT team, let's say that co-coordinators have been formulated, and now they are responsible, and they have been frequently trained, right? They have been trained that what is to be done, especially the GLT should talk about leadership, GST talk about the service membership, all those kind of things. This is what I have done. So the summary that I have done is that if I became unable to reach them, even if the zone meetings are taking place nearby places, right? As a leader, as a GLT leader, what I felt is that my responsibility is to stay there, okay, reach to there in the scheduled time until the meeting is ended. I need to stay there. I did this, okay, but I prioritize the type of zone chairperson we have got. For example, a zone chairperson who himself is unable to describe the agenda and motivate the club members. I have chosen that kind of zone chairperson to be present so that I could be able to motivate. So now with this, we are going to have a short case study. You please come here. And with those obstacles we have talked, from unclear objectives to priorities to personal disorganization, we are going to have 8 minutes time. Anders, please come here. Please listen to me. We are going to have 8 minutes time. Are you with me? Yes, guys?
Yes.
Yeah.
And please formulate that what was unclear objective or priority to her. What was the personal disorganization to land Maria? Lack of planning. What were the distracting factors or the interruptions that she encountered? And why? With which actions she was unable to say no. Please have discussion. After 8 minutes, one of you will be going there to write those kind of things.
So
Please refer back to page number 1 and 2 in your manual, and everything is given there, and all agenda, all the obstacles for effective time management have been given there. Gentlemen, please write down.
What does he want actually us to do?
No, study this case study.
You read the case study once
You
again.
have already read.
Mhm.
Case study, no?
And mass disorganization, obstacles with the activities that she has.
Mhm.
Based on that exhibition, what was the unclear priorities? She has no.
Okay, the first one. So we will discuss the first one. She exhausted herself, she could relieve few more minutes of sleep. So first one was in a late sleep.
No. The objectives for each task or project, make sure that your objectives are specific, measurable, and achievable.
Here she has no priority.
Personal disorganization. She couldn't.
That's a generalized. So then it need to be measurable.
No, we have to link with this
Yeah,
obstacle. no?
you need to link with these.
So this
Obstacles.
is personal disorganization.
But it, at the same time, it should be, the first objective is, when you are talking first of it is measurable. It should be measurable, right? Second objectives.
She had the lines
You
of
have to
meeting.
look at these obstacles. You are looking at this first.
We are looking at Maria's this thing.
That's what.
Get back to page number 1.
Unclear objectives and priorities. So first she had to attend the office work, then she had to attend the landscape meeting, she had to attend another office meeting, another.
No, one by one we will take up. Then
She didn't prioritize anything.
yes, so personal disorganization, first point. The second point is where she forgets the agenda. Okay. The second problem is where she forgets the agenda.
Yes, personal disorganization.
Forgets agenda. Right? And what is this forgetting of agenda?
Personal agenda, personal disorganization, I mean, daughters,
Hmm?
daughter, because she promised she would.
Why are we getting to daughter? We'll go on by one.
No,
Unclear.
personal disorganization.
She forget the agenda.
She herself, she has, again, she has not prioritized her day after day. That's a disorganization also. Not planned properly.
Yes.
Maria not planned day properly.
Lack of planning.
Lack of planning.
Now the third point is where Maria arrives late at her office and during next few hours she attempts to make progress on an important work assignment, but is constantly interrupted by client phone calls and co-workers stopping by her office to catch up the latest gossip. Now, third is the gossip part of it. Why should she get involved in gossip when she had no time?
Distracts and interruptions. And
Yes,
of course,
yes,
she
distractions.
attended
Phone calls and
Distractions.
uh,
She entertained distractions.
client phone calls.
Client phone
and
calls. client phone calls.
At noon, Maria
There's
remembers.
4 minutes remaining.
At noon, Maria remembers suddenly was that she has a meeting at 11:15 in department team manager. She spends her lunch hour trying to prepare for the meeting, but isn't sure what she should be preparing for because she can't find the meeting agenda that was distributed last week.
What she would have said no.
Yes, exactly.
Which one she would have said no. That we need to establish.
She should be preparing because she can't find the meeting on the address issue last week.
Should have told to James issue no.
It is coming.
We are at noon. There is nothing like no there, but she forgot the thing, so she could not prioritize.
Yes, yes.
She could not prioritize it before.
It's not like that. We can use any of this one.
Is in James case it is no?
James case is no.
No, yes, yes.
At noon it was totally unprioritized.
Yes, yes, yes. Inability
Mm.
to see.
What is your linking mistake?
Yes, yes, yes.
Like that.
Now, fifth, James case, yes, she should have said no.
No, yes, yes.
Inability to say no.
Yes.
Then what's the sixth area?
Procrastination and indecision.
That is, management are not trying to finish it last into a percent, but sponsor the is looking for a stack of completed client forms. Concerning before leaving work for the day, and we have to complete the first thing.
Even sixth one, she is inability to say no.
Yeah, yes, yes. The other things, she is disorganized with their work.
Maria spends afternoon trying to finish the last
That's
minute
the
work
area we have to
assignment.
write.
She spends at least 30 minutes looking for a stack of completed unorganized.
She just wasted 30 minutes time.
Unorganized. Seventh one is unorganized.
Yes. Procrastination, decisions.
Maria is supposed to go to her daughter's
Yes.
personal, this
Yes,
is personal commitment.
Yes, yes, yes.
Eight is personal commitment.
Yes, yes, yes.
We are running out of time. Please do it fast. 1 minute
And
remaining.
during the club meeting, a discussion takes place about the need of her. She is again taking up unnecessary responsibility,
Yes, yes, yes. I think we can.
being involved in too many commitments at the same time.
Yes.
Too many
Soccer,
commitments.
professional obligation.
So totally she is this will be putting to test.
So many
We can write
Yeah,
that.
just when it
When Maria at home meeting, she spends next hour to catch a personal mail.
Are you done?
Done.
Yes, yes.
Thank you very much.
We'll be right now.
Could you please, any of one of you, please come ahead?
We'll be right now.
Okay. Anas, are you coming ahead?
Yeah. Disorganization.
Right.
But my handwriting is not good.
No problem. Fine, no problem. You just need the content, the information. So the first one is, now, dear friends, the first one is, the first obstacle is unclear objectives and priorities. He is writing, let's say, what actually is unclear objectives and priorities. Okay, are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, what it is?
Now should I go from Maria's?
Yeah, from the morning, this is what we have been talking.
So first she slept late.
Yeah, she slept late, and the thing is that, just a minute, even if she has got a convention, right? She hasn't got a convention within a period of 15 days, a fortnight, she is checking her email. So that the unclear objective and priority is that she should have prioritized her convention.
Yes.
Let's write the first one. What is it?
She did not prioritize.
Yeah, and in place of her, in place of that, what she could have done?
She could have prioritized and according.
Exactly. Exactly. Is it fine?
Right.
Yes.
Clear.
Now let's go to the second one. Personal disorganization. What are the things that she badly disorganized?
First, the sleeping itself was a
Yes, yes, actually, what is it? The first is she overslept, and the product of overslept is that she has to rush to her office, right? And she reached to the office lately. But most importantly, she left the important content in her home. That is the agenda that she needs to present
Yes.
during the club meeting of that night,
Yes.
right? So the second one is she left the agenda on her. That is the
That is
personal
personal
disorganization is.
Hmm.
And the third one is, what is it?
Lack of planning.
Lack of planning. What are the things that she didn't plan properly?
She didn't plan anything properly for the day itself. No.
Actually, that is the general answer.
Yes.
And if we need to be practical, particular on that, then she had got of her office meeting at the noon,
Yes, yes.
but she misplaced the agenda.
So-
And during her office lunch time, she needs to prepare the agenda that is to be presented on that day's noon club meeting. So that the third one is she forget to bring the agenda of her club prepared for preparation for the meeting.
Yes.
And let's talk about the fourth one. What is it? Distraction and interruptions. Can you tell what were the distractions and the interruptions she encountered with?
The phone
calls she received in the
Yes,
gossip.
actually, she has
Client
been
phone calls.
frequently disturbed by the
Client
phone calls. Client
phone calls.
And
And
gossip.
The office gossip. This is what we prefer,
Yes.
right? Because the latest gossip that is going on in our office, our ears become quite attentive to hear those kind of things, right? But if in place of doing that, she should have concentrated on the project, the important project that she was carrying on. That's good. And the next one is, what is it?
Inability to say no.
Okay, Manoji, what is the answer?
James issue.
James
Yes.
issue. She should have said no to James.
And she was in a perplexing situation. Is it or not? If she would have rejected the offer that has been made by James, James would have been hurt. And she accepted the offer and she herself have become paralyzed. Is it or not? Because she already have been overloaded with the works that she needs to perform. Besides that, she has to accept one more load. That is, she has to look after, or she has to be the contact person of James' client. Okay. Thank you very much. And the next one is,
Procrastination and indecision.
What is it?
Procrastination and
procrastination and indecisiveness. What is it?
Delaying.
Okay. She has got a district convention within a period of 15 days. In place of focusing her attention on the preparation that she needs to prepare for her upcoming district convention, what she has done, she neglected that.
Yes.
Okay, I'll do that tomorrow or something like that once I've got time.
Postponed.
Yeah, she postponed it or delayed it. And in place of that, she started concentrating her attention on checking and replying her personal emails. Do you think that this is good?
It's not good.
Obviously not, because we need to prioritize the work. And because of that, because of delaying, she has been messed up with so many stuff. So can we read the next one?
Personal
commitments.
Personal commitments. What were the commitments that she has made?
She has a commitment with the daughter.
Daughter soccer
Yes. She made the promise. She made promise with the daughter that she would be there in her daughter's soccer match, right? So that she needs to go to her daughter's place, and she picked her up, and both mother and daughter went to watch the football match. Sorry, daughter played and mother watched. And professional obligation.
Obligations.
What is it? Professional obligation.
No,
She
because
has been unanimously chosen as the project chairperson in her office, which is quite exciting new. Yeah? And which ultimately might be aiding her to be promoted in the new position. Right? So that even if she has got too many workload, she happily accepted that. And what is next?
Being involved
Being
in
involved
too
in
many
too many
things at
commitments.
once.
What are those kind of things? Like she is a club president, project manager. Is it or not?
Yes.
She is a club president, project manager, and she is a presenter for her upcoming
District
convention. So that she has got too many things that she has been involved. Because of that, she has been messed up and she became unable to manage time. And the last one is
Stress and fatigue.
Obviously, all these things will lead.
all
to
these
stress.
things, obviously, that is the thing. And Do you think that beside these, the things that Manoj has written on the flip chart and that we talked on the slides, do you think that besides these, there are some more those kind of obstacles? Can I tell one? What's about social media? What's about the use of social media? What do you say?
If he is involved in it,
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. What's about the role of social media? Because these people have been quite paralyzed by the use of social media, right? Even if you have an important work to be done. But we stick on WhatsApp, Facebook, Vibers and those kind of
You are
things.
trying to generalize or for this case?
Yeah, for this case, one of the
Not
obstacles.
prioritized.
Yeah, prioritized. So, have you ever encountered on such type of situation in your life? Have you even encountered one of those obstacles in your personal, professional and linguistic life?
many times.
Please be specific.
Many times. No.
Can you give an example?
So I'm in the office bearer at the local CA professional institute. And at the same time, I'm also in Lions Zone.
Right.
So as of today,
Uh-huh.
I should have been at the institute. We are having a banquet seminar going on. But
Okay.
because of LCA,
Right.
I need to be here.
Okay, good.
So,
Let me give you an example from my own. Once I was the club president in 2019. Okay, I've got two programs simultaneously. It was the 14th of November, and we had about to have the peace poster contest because deadline is the 15th. Is it not? Deadline is the 15th. And in the same day, we have got a board meeting, right? And I delegated my authority to one of my colleague that now will be the presiding officer for this program. Because for me, board meeting is quite important, right? Such kind of things happen in our life. Now, is there any confusion regarding the obstacles that we have talked so far?
yeah.
Okay, I'd like to add more. If we do not pay attention to the details, right? Details, sometimes that inability to pay attention towards detail, that is also one of the causing factor, one of the obstacles for effective time management. Is it?
Yes.
Manojit, are you with us?
Yes, I'm with you.
Thank you very much. Now guys, let's go to the another slide. This is the strategies for managing time effectively, and for the same we have been here today. Is it not? Because we all are professionals. We have got our personal life, we have got our professional life, we have got our realistic life as well. And to balance, how can we balance these three lives and effectively manage time on these three lives? We have come here. Right? Now, based on the case study that we have told, and the obstacles about the, for having the effective time management, we can scrutinize the following. What are they?
Set objectives first one.
No. These are the strategies for having the effective time management. Manojji, can you please read the first one?
Set objectives.
Yes. What does it mean? Right? Can you throw some insight on this?
No, we should have an idea of what we are going to do in
Mhm.
a particular day or the coming days.
Mm-hmm.
So, on that basis, we should plan.
Good. Actually, do you have anything to say?
Maybe on a daily basis or monthly basis, you need to plan yourself,
Obviously.
your diary.
The most important thing is that we need to set an objective. Right? We have been talking since last few days. We have been talking that we need to set objectives, and those objectives should be measurable. Yeah, those objectives will be measurable, and if those objectives are measurable, only at that time what happens? We can manage our time effectively. What does it mean? You need to identify that which work to be done immediately, right? Which can be procrastinated, which can be, let's say, which can be avoided, and something like that. So that for that we need to set the objective, right? Those objectives are measurable, realistic, and achievable and time bounded. Is it not? Is it not? So that first and the foremost thing is that we need to set objective that which work to be done at what time, right? Which work is to be done at what time. If we become able to do that, we'll be able to effectively manage our time. We'll be able to balance our personal life, our professional life, and our realistic life. Is it?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. Now let's go to the third one. So second one, Manojji, please have a look on it.
Prioritize.
What does this mean?
We should prioritize according to the importance of the.
Exactly. Exactly. Prioritization means we need to categorize the things that we need to do. Right? We make so many commitments and the promises in a day that I'll meet you at this time, let's meet during the lunch time. Right? And not only that, as a district governor, you need to make the club visitations, you need to go to the installations, you need to have so many things. Like in our district, what happens is that if a club is doing a fantastic, very good, very large, very enormous service activity, the chief guest is to be the district governor. Right? The chief guest is to be district governor, and district governor has to be present everywhere. This is the tradition that we have been planning. So that what we need to do is that here, at the time of prioritizing the thing, we need to identify that which work to be done by yourself. Like Lion Monos, who is the district governor. As a district governor, which out of the works that have been compiled in his office, which work is to be done by himself, right? He needs to categorize it.
It varies from person to.
Yes, it varies from person to person, and the perception you have got towards the work to become accomplished. And next is, if you become unable to go each and every work, okay, what we can do? For example, as a district governor, because you have been invited in so many clubs, imagine in our district there are 370 clubs. Can a governor go to each and every club's meetings, visitations?
Difficult, almost impossible.
It is almost impossible, right? In a day, even if he visits a club in a day, he is unable to do each and everything, right? So, what is to be done? What could be the solution for this problem?
He can plan, no? He can plan. And,
Can you be a bit more specific on this?
For somebody, if there is a 300 or 350 clubs are there,
Right?
he can plan that one or two clubs join together or three clubs join together for a.
Can I give you a clue? Can you give you?
No,
a clue?
I disagree. District governor's visit can never be a joint club
I
meeting.
can-
Actually,
Because it's a
can
board
you-
meeting and
If 360 clubs are there in his
no,
life.
in an area, he can go in an area and say at morning at 9 a.m. he
In
meets
a
some
day,
club.
he can complete separately. this
Separately he has to do.
visit.
Separately,
If
in a day he can complete 2-3
Okay.
clubs.
Now there is a
That
point
can
of
be possible. That's possible.
reconciliation. My friends, there is a point of reconciliation. For example, as I am a district governor, okay, I belong to Kathmandu, you know, I belong to Kathmandu. And my vice district governor is from Pokhara. Why
You
don't
can
I delegate my authority of club
Yes.
visitation to my first vice district governor,
Sure.
second vice district governor?
Absolutely.
Is it fine?
Right?
Can be done.
So those activities which are a bit less important than the
permits
previous
it.
one.
The constitution permits it.
Yeah.
Most of us doesn't know.
That's the point we have been talking. That is, if the work is quite important and to be done by yourself, do it yourself. And if it is a bit less important, what is to be done?
Delegate.
Yes, you need to delegate to the person having the.
Requisite knowledge and expertise.
And if something has to be postponed, can we do so? For example, in the case of Maria, what she did? What she did was that in place of checking her emails, what she could have done? She could have make the preparation about her upcoming district convention
Convention.
presentation. Because district convention is the mega get together in a district. Are you with me? Is it not?
An
It's
important event.
yeah, it's one of the important events of the district. In place of that, what she has done? And the next one is, what is the next?
Find a way to stay organized.
Organized. How can we be organized?
Plan.
Plan.
List
These
of-
days, everybody has got a smartphone. Is it or not? We have got tablets and there is a notepad. What are the things District Governor Manoj Purohit is going to do on a particular day? He can have each and everything over there.
List out, plan,
Yes, good.
prioritize.
Otherwise, we have got the tradition of preparing the calendar.
Exactly.
Yeah, we have got the tradition of preparing the calendar in our district. So that according to calendar, we have got let's say, when the governor is going to meet with ZCs and RCs, right? When the governor is going to meet with club presidents, or when we we are going to have a particular service project and whom we are going to invite as the chief guest, we can have all those kind of things planned. That's why we can use a planner, right? Calendar, notebook, computer software, so that we can keep each everything together. And the next one is,
Learn when to say no.
even if it is quite hard, isn't it? Sometimes there is the probability of missing our friend, right? Sometimes there is the probability of missing our friend because Mr. Roy wants me to do one of his work, and if I say no, I'm quite preoccupied with the work that I need to do. Okay, he is out. But if we want to manage effective time in our professional, personal, and linguistic life, we need to say strictly no. It can be diplomatic as well. Is it right? It can be diplomatic as well.
But it's better to say no in advance rather
Yeah.
than disappoint
Yes.
at a later date.
Yes, yes. Whenever the offer has been made, at that time we have to directly say. Can you please? Oh,
Learn, it's also,
Mm.
use your waiting time.
Right? That was what I was talking about the previous time. That software, let's say the social media has been causing the obstacles. Is it or not?
Convert that time to productivity.
Honestly speaking, we have got the district installation. Okay, we were there in the airport. I should not say the name. One of the senior leaders who used to be the main person at the time of welcoming the international director. What he was telling, oh my God, I'm having a look at the nice video on WhatsApp. Wait, what I was telling that, sir, the chief guest has come. Let's go. What he was telling that, look, I'm watching very important, very funny video. That's it. It's quite ridiculous, isn't it? Not? So that sometimes if you have to wait, right? Sometimes what happens is that we tell that our meeting is going to start at 30 past or 5, but it normally starts at 6 o'clock. At that time, in place of telling that as a waste of time, we can take that time as a gift of time by doing some activities.
Some of that is.
Yes?
So we can check our mails.
Yeah, we can check
talk
our
to
mails.
people.
We can make the phone calls because we are quite busy and we are unable to pick up the phone calls each and every time. And the next one is,
Concentrate on one thing.
yes, Maria has the problem that she has got so many things at the same time. And if we concentrate one activity at a time, what happens? We can be quite organized, we can manage time so that we will be a reliable person. Right? We will be a reliable person. Right, sir? What is the
Celebrate
next?
success.
Yes, yes, I did it. Sometimes what you need to do, you need to congratulate yourself first, right? You need to congratulate yourself. So, do you have any other strategies beside this? From set objectives, prioritize, or find a way to stay organized, learn when to say no, use your waiting time. Now mind it, in place of telling waste of time, what we need to say? Gift of time.
Gift of time.
Yeah, how can we do this? How can we do so? Do you have any idea? For example, I have already mentioned you that there is 30 minutes remaining for the club meeting to start. Right? Your friends are coming. Let me give you an example of my own club. We have got a tradition that we have got a particular place to have the club meeting, and normally club meeting starts at 5:30 because everybody's office will be closed at 5. Right? And the person who comes after 5:30, everything, food and beverage that has been consumed by each and every member of our club, he has to bear the cost. He has to bear the cost. So that even if I am the senior leader of my district, if I have got my club meeting, I have to reach there at the scheduled time. Otherwise, we do not go. Right? We have to save the time frame. Okay?
Good.
Now, develop on page number 4. Do you have anything beside this? Like set objectives to prioritize, find a way to stay organized, learn when to say no, use your waiting time. These are the crux for which I have been invited to speak in front of you. Right? These are the main things for the sake of which I'm quite fortunate enough to have some of the ideas that I have chronicled so far, and I'm able to disseminate it in front of you. Do you have anything beside this?
Nothing, I think it has covered
No.
everything.
Okay, now I'm going to read a story. Right? This is quite useful as a district governor, as a club president, what about zone chairperson, whatever you are
Whatever
doing.
question we have.
Sorry?
Whatever position we have, every
Yeah,
time
whatever
we
the
get time
position you have got, I have got an interesting story. Okay? Can I read it out?
Yes, we are curious.
The title of the story is Big Rocks of Life. Big Rocks of Life. Yeah. One day, an expert in time management was speaking to a group of business students, and to make a point, he used this illustration. As he stood in front of the group, he pulled out a large jar and set it on the table in front of him. Then he produced about a dozen of rocks and placed them one at a time into the jar. When the jar was filled up to the top and no more rocks would fit inside, he asked, "Is this jar full?" Everyone in the class said yes. Then he said, "Really?" He reached under the table and pulled out the bucket of gravel. He dumped some gravel in and shook the jar, causing pieces of gravel to work themselves down into the space between the rocks. Then he asked the group once more, "Is the jar full?" By this time, the class begins to understand, probably not. One of them answered, "Good," he replied. He reached under the table and brought out a bucket of sand. He started dumping the sand in the jar and went into all of the spaces left between the rock and the gravel. One more he asked the question, "Is the jar full?" "No," the class shouted. Once again he said, "Good." Then he grabbed the pitcher of water and began to pour it until the jar was filled to the brim. Then he looked at the class and asked, "What is the point of this illustration?" One of the students raised his hand and said, "No matter how full your schedule is, you try really hard, you can always fit some more things in it." "No," the speaker replied. "That's not the point. The truth this illustration teaches us is, if you don't put the big rocks in the first, you will never get them in at all. What are the big rocks of our life? Our children, our loved ones, our education, our dreams as a worthy cause, teaching, mentoring others, doing things that you love times. So that whenever we are doing, we need to focus on these kind of big rocks in our life. Now, with this, we are about to wrap up today's session. Can you read the first session objectives that we taught?
Describe importance.
Describe the importance of time management, because let's say we have talked about the mesmerizing situation of the club president, Mari, right? And then after what we talked?
Recognize the common obstacles.
Obstacles. We talked about the obstacles like inability to say no. Is there any confusion regarding the obstacles?
No.
Is there?
No.
If so, please let me say,
No.
I'm coming back to that.
It's clear.
And at last, what we talked?
Identify strategies.
We talked about those kind of strategies. Okay? Is there anything that you have expected from my side?
I think you covered it
It's
nicely.
very clear. It's very
Thank you
clear.
very much for being quiet, silent, and be cooperative. I hope that you enjoyed the show. Thank you very much.
It was great.